Researchers say they've discovered the first new way to treat asthma and COPD attacks in 50 years. So up until now, the injection benralizumab has been approved for people with the most severe forms of asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. But a new study out of the UK is now showing the drug could benefit millions more people. Dr. Richard Russell, Department Head of Immunobiology at King's College London, is a lead researcher on this study, and he joins us with more this morning. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Lindsay. Great to be with you.
It's great to talk about this. People who experience asthma or COPD attacks are often given steroids when inhalers are not effective. What issues are there with current treatment options?
Well, I think there's two main problems with current treatment. One is that we treat everybody the same. We assume steroids are going to work, and they don't work very well. And then secondly, we also neglect or don't pay attention to the side effect profile that oral steroids have. Indeed, you should never have more than 5 courses in your life. That's your lifetime dose. But if you have steroids regularly and often, you're going to have diabetes, osteoporosis, weight gain, skin bruising, cataracts, etc. So steroids come, as well as not working very well, they come with a side effect profile, which is not acceptable these days.
I want to ask you about the study. It's absolutely fascinating. So I understand you divided participants into 3 groups, right? So people taking steroids, people taking the injection, and then people taking both. And it found that 74% of participants just taking the steroid needed additional doses. That fell, I'm looking at the numbers here, to 47% for people taking the injection, 42% if you were taking both. So walk us through this. How does this treatment work?
This was really important. First of all, it began by identifying that not all attacks of asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease are the same. They are different. And then secondly, we identified the pattern of inflammation that people have based upon this blood cell called the eosinophil. And then we said, hold on, we've got drugs which block the eosinophil. What about if, when someone has an attack, we can detect the eosinophils and block them? And so that's what this drug benralizumab actually does. So patients would come to us, we would do a blood test at that point, at that moment, and if their levels of eosinophils were high, we would randomize them into the study, steroids or the drug benralizumab. And then we followed them for 90 days to see their outcomes. And as you could see, there was a dramatic, and be careful with the number, it's the same number, but was 74% reduction in requirement for further treatment if you had the benralizumab therapy. So this was really stunning, and if I may say, an early Christmas present for our asthma patients.
And for you, too, doing all this research, I mean, what did this feel like for you?
Well, we knew that this was going to work. I think we were confident it was going to work. And what was also really important, Lindsay, was our patients were telling us really quickly this was working. It was a double-blind, randomized controlled trial. We didn't know what arm they were on, but people were feeling better. And so it was a really positive feeling. And when we unblinded it and when we did this statistical analysis, we were, of course, very pleasantly surprised. And we knew this would transform care for asthma and COPD patients.
And we're talking about a lot of people here. I mean, more than 4.6 million Canadians are living with asthma. Another 2 million people in this country live with COPD. So who could benefit most from this?
Well, this is a great point. Remember, what we're talking about here is treating the acute event, the attack. So we would estimated that 50% of asthma attacks have got this particular pattern of inflammation, and probably 30% of attacks based on COPD patients have got this particular inflammation. So in a year, that's going to be probably 1 million events in Canada a year, which is an awful lot. And this will make a huge difference.
When could this be more readily available?
That's a great question, and it's a tricky one. And although there's light, spring is going to come, but actually we're way off that yet. So we need to do a bigger trial. This was a trial of 160 patients. We need to scale it up and do it in several countries, both to make sure our data is robust and absolutely assure our data. Also to check the practical delivery of the medication, how it can be done, because this could be done even in primary care and GPs and in patients' homes. So there's ways of doing this. This is probably around 2.5 years to get the studies done, maybe another 6 months to talk to our regulators about getting it approved. So I would hope 3 years at a minimum, 4 years maximum if we go forward, and we're really hopeful we'll do that.
And we are hopeful as well. Dr. Richard Russell, thanks for your time and walking us through that this morning.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you, Lindsay.
All right, you take care.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.